Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to Behind the Reel. This is John, and today we're going to do something a little bit different. We are here with Stephen Davis of Davis Custom Rods. I had a little minor situation on the water and broke what I now know as the tip top. I want to call it the rod tip. I broke the guide off, and I need him to glue that sucker back on for me. He informed me this is something I could maybe do on my own, but I know a guy, so here I am. And he's going to show you guys how we do this repair, and we'll get to see some other cool stuff that he has going on here out in the shop. All right, what's up, man? How's it going?
Not much. Good. I'm Steve Davis with Davis Custom Rods in Roseau, Kansas. We're going to replace this tip top. It was not lost, but it did come unglued. All I did was pull on it and pull it off. For the guys at home that want to replace one, you can just go down to Academy or Cabela's or whatever and get the kit, and it comes with the different tip tops, and it comes with a little glue stick. And all you're going to do is, if it's still stuck to the rod but it's still turning and you can't get it off, just take a lighter and heat it up a little bit, and it'll melt that glue in there, and then you can just pull the tip top off. And that's what I've done here. So I like to hold it with some pliers and then take my lighter and heat the guide up, or heat the tube up some, just to make sure we get all the old glue out. So you can just heat it up a little bit, and then you could take a nail, or I'm using a pick that I use for doing the marbling and stuff. We need to do a video about that sometime too. You just make sure it's cleaned out on the inside. You can see that it goes all the way through. So we have we're gonna have a good contact area with it. So we'll take our glue stick. The ones in the kit are like this big because you don't use that much, but I've had this one for like, I don't know, 2 years, 3 years, and that's all I used out of it. So you just take a razor blade without cutting your finger off, doing something dumb.
Safety first, kids.
Yeah, always cut towards you.
Yeah. No, don't do that. So by the way, guys, if you're interested in getting a custom rod made, there's a couple places you can hit these guys up. Davis Custom Rods. Definitely check them out on Facebook. You've got some other social media stuff going on.
Yeah, Facebook, Instagram. Then we have a website too, just daviscustomrods.com.
daviscustomrods.com. Check it out.
So what I like to do is because you're going to lose some of it with it being open up here, just pack this thing full of as much of the glue stick that you can get in there. Yeah, I'm working on the club rod and another one right now. That's getting shipped out to California as soon as I'm finished with it.
Heck yeah, man! You guys ship rods all over the country, don't you?
Yep, we've shipped them to Maine, Michigan, Florida, Texas. Anywhere close, I like to just take it because it saves on shipping, and it's a cool vacation usually. So
heck yeah.
So want to make sure it doesn't have any extra glue still stuck to the tip top. I usually just take a razor blade and very gently scrape just the glue off. If you come up with any color on there, you've gone too deep. Usually you'd be okay with that, but I'm going to try to clean up the edge of this real quick. Just get the
little jagged.
Yeah. Just make it as straight as you can.
Now, is there any decrease in performance that would, because obviously this had been broken at one time, you got enough room to put another guide up top there. Is there any disadvantage other than maybe losing a little bit of length.
Yeah, and you're gonna lose a little bit in the action too, just because you don't have the extra designed length of it.
Sure.
But
for the most part, you're good to just...
Yeah, for the intended purpose of this rod, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
It'd be a little bit different if it was a
finesse rod or something.
Or like an ultralight rod or something like that. Then it would change the whole characteristic of the rod.
So this is a big swim bait rod. It's designed to throw 4 to like 8 ounce swim bait. So not using this thing for sensitivity by any means.
So all you're going to do is just heat this tube up. Usually keep it, a couple of inches off of it. And you'll start to see the glue melt out the end. And it's all melted in the tube. And you just slide it on, and like I said, I like to use pliers because you can hold on to it without burning your hands. Just going to hold it on here for a minute until it cools off and dries. If you make a mistake and get it a little crooked, just heat it back up with the glue or with the lighter, and it'll remelt the glue.
Okay, heck yeah. Do it all over again.
Yep.
Line it up, obviously. That's probably
that's pretty important.
Probably fairly important. Something I would probably forget.
For this one, I'm gonna keep it, and then I'll return it to you on Saturday.
Cool.
But I'm gonna put epoxy on the end of this.
Okay.
Will help lock that on there.
Okay.
Most part, nobody really needs to do that, but if you feel the need that you want to do that, you could always get some like Gorilla Glue, like the 5-minute 2-part epoxy.
Yep.
Mix a little bit and just dab on a little bit around the edge, and it'll keep anything from wanting to knock that off of there.
I got you.
And I'm not sure if it matters, but let's say you leave it in your truck and it's
hot.
Yeah, like it was 115 degrees when I got my truck the other day.
Yeah.
There's a chance that you could heat that glue up enough, if there wasn't any epoxy on there holding it.
I got you.
That it could melt the glue and twist it a little bit.
That could have been partly how this happened anyways too, from the heat.
Because I know I put mine in my truck all the time, but...
Yeah, I do too. For those of you that haven't seen it yet, this is the newest bait that I have received that I'll be throwing on that swim bait rod. And as Steven mentioned, we are fishing a tournament out at El Dorado Lake this Saturday as a part of the club event and a Bass Nation deal as well. But I probably won't throw this, but I do have a swim bait you guys have all seen before that I probably will throw, the nuisance wake. So that's been a favorite of mine ever since I tied it on.
But the legal dope one?
The legal dope nuisance wake, and that crappie color is probably the one that I'll choose to throw. I have a dark colored one as well, so depending on the conditions, I'm thinking the crappie one's kind of a shad imitation as well, so it can kind of go either way. But
have you seen the 8-inch mag draft mega bass ones?
I've seen them, yeah, and I was eyeballing them. I was at Baitworks the other day, and I almost got one, but
I bought one.
Like a freestyle, or is it pre-rigged?
Pre-rigged.
Heck yeah. He's going to be building himself a swim bait rod here before too long.
I can't throw anything that I got.
He just showed me the 6-cents trace he just picked up the other day. He's got an 8-inch mag draft, so swim baits aren't real popular around here, but there's definitely some guys that are throwing them that have good luck on them. But you got to be dedicated. Yeah, that's nice. What is that pattern? That's like a
baby bass.
Baby bass.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. The one thing that I noticed, and I don't know, it might be the same deal on something like that, but is on the legal dope one specifically, it's basically, I'm just fishing like a big crankbait. It's kind of more of a reaction thing. So I don't think they're necessarily trying to eat it. I think they're more so trying to attack it.
Yeah. Like, hey, what's that?
Yeah, like get out of here. This is my turf. All right, I'm gonna turn this camera around. He is building a rod, and I think he's getting pretty close to being done here for the club. So the Air Capital Kayak Anglers are giving away one of the Davis Custom Rods here, and he can tell you a little bit about it. I guess we'll go over maybe the specs on the rod first, then we'll turn the camera around and he can.
So it's a 7.2 medium heavy, and it's the fast action. It's built for mostly like jigging and throwing around structure. It's got, it's not super thick like you would think a good medium heavy would be, but the blend of graphite makes it just a badass rod. This is one of my favorite blanks to build on. It's the Rain Shadow Revelation blanks.
Okay.
It's a flat black blank, and then we're going with Alps titanium finish, guides, Alps aluminum reel seat, and Alps aluminum winding checks. So it's a good looking line. So
good looking rod, kind of subtle, accents, but I think that it's got a real sleek kind of a quality look to it. Is this a blank that you throw yourself then?
Oh yeah, I've got the Revelation blank, and then I've got a Immortal blank that I throw. That's usually my casting rod blank. The Immortal is the one with the titanium chrome finish on it.
Cool.
So that's my go-to. And I've got the carbon fiber grips on it.
So this would probably be a good one to throw like a Texas rig, maybe a jig or something like that.
Yeah, like jig and pig type thing.
Cool.
So.
Heck yeah. All right, well, let's turn this thing around and we'll show you guys what it looks like. All right, so down here at the butt of the rod, is that a proper term?
Yes.
All right. We've got, that looks like some of the wind grips you were talking about.
Yeah, it's the all blacked out swell grips.
And then you've got this titanium or aluminum, what'd you say?
It's an aluminum reel seat in titanium finish and gold, pale gold.
Yeah, that gold and that, like, it's not real loud, but that's what I like about it. I mean, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but you guys can see it. Pretty slick. And then what are the wraps? What color is that?
I don't remember. I'll have to look it up.
It's like a real dark, but there's kind of a, I don't know, there's almost like a gold tint in those, isn't
yeah,
it?
Yeah, I'll look up the actual.
It's pretty sweet. I like it. Got the Rain Shadow. Yeah, that is the Gunsmoke thread. Is that what you call it?
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm talking about here. I'm not a custom rod builder, as you guys can see, but I can appreciate a good looking rod when I see one, for sure. All right, and then you're gonna do some wrapping on these.
Yeah, so I've already laid out and wrapped almost everything. So what I do is I lay everything out. I glue the tip top on first. After I've done, the grips and the winding checks and the reel seat, that all goes on first. That all dries overnight, and then I glue the tip top on, and I've already marked the spine of the rod, so it's all built on the natural curve of the rod. So the tip top goes on, and then I measure where each guide goes, and that's what the tape's for. For all these up here, I wrap and I go 1/8 of an inch past the guide, and then I start my wrap coming back left to right. Down here on the double foot guide, I do 1/4 of an inch on either side, just for a little more strength.
On this one here?
Uh-huh.
On the closest to the reel. And what do you call that?
That's the double foot guide, or
okay.
the gathering guide.
Okay.
Is another one that
you'll hear it referred to as.
Yeah, and then also sometimes they'll call it the stripping guide. That's more for fly rods.
Kind of a fly term.
And all it does is take, the big loop coming off the reel, and it narrows the cone of flight of the line down to a smaller cone.
Yeah.
Because when it actually comes off the reel, it
spirals.
So what I do is this one goes size 10, 8, and then 6 all the way through. But depending on, the application of the rod and what the target species is, will change whether I do, I did a surf rod, and I started with a size 20 guide.
Okay.
And then went to an 18, a 16, and then 10s all the way down. And the size 20 guide was like big enough I could put my finger through it.
Really?
So it was a beast of a rod. It was an 8-foot heavy rod.
Yeah.
And it took me a while to do, but it turned out really nice.
So what about the number of guides? Like on a 7'2", is there kind of a target number of guides you're looking for, and how does that factor into fishability, I guess?
I usually consult the Batson chart to give me an idea of they have a blueprint for each rod.
Okay.
And it's set up so it'll give you a baseline to where to put your guides, but like I'll build one and then fish with it and be like, it could really use like less guides, or it could use one more guide, depending on when you arc the rod. If it touches the blank somewhere, then you're definitely going to want more guides.
Gotcha.
And then you're going to space them different.
Okay.
But for the most part, I lay out the ones I want to build, and then test them out myself, or have somebody in my family, I build one for them and they test it, and like, hey, it didn't really fish that good because of, and then for the next time I can tweak it to,
nice.
So nobody's really out anything if it's just family or whatever. So
yeah, heck yeah.
I like doing just my own testing on it. There's the surf rod that I did, it took some math to do because I did under wraps under all of them. So I laid it all out and then had to figure out how long I wanted each under wrap, which is just thread underneath, and then you put a layer of epoxy on, and then you put your guide on, and then you wrap over it.
Oh, okay.
So you have the under wrap out here, and since it was a double foot guide, you have it in the middle, and you have it out here, and you still got to make sure that it's lined up with the rod, and it also looks good because you want to have even space front
What's
and back.
The benefit to that? Is that just aesthetics, or?
It's to protect the rod, since it's going to be used at the ocean and with bigger fish. The bigger guides could actually dig into the rod.
Got it.
And it protects the rod from getting the guide from digging into the blank.
Okay.
So
heck yeah. Okay.
I'll try to keep my hands out of the way. That's the biggest thing
when you're trying to.
Yeah. So I start on the opposite side, and I'm going to wrap back, and then I'll start forward. And I'll show you why here in a second. So you just want to get it started. And then come back. So got my handy tape measure here. And I'm going to measure 1/8 of an inch from the front edge of the guide foot out here to my wrap. I mean, you could start it right up on it, but I think just aesthetically to the eye, if you have a little bit of line or a little bit of wrap before the guide, then it just looks better. So all I did was cross over, and that's going to lock that thread to the blank. I'm going to do that 3 or 4 or 5 times just to make sure it stays. And then I can undo this one. all I'm going to do is just pull on that, and you heard that pop, and it's just locking everything in. I can take my razor blade and cut off. You could actually do this at home. If you broke a guide and needed to wrap it back up, you could do this at home without
all the fancy equipment.
Yeah, I mean, when I first started, I just had a hand wrapper, which was just 2 V blocks and a rudimentary thread carriage. But you could actually do it if you take one of these spools of thread and put it like in a coffee cup and then run it through a book, like kind of a heavy book, so you hold tension on it. Or if you had the little bobbins that they use for like tying flies and stuff, you can do that too, like just for an emergency repair. I mean, I've repaired one with dental floss and some clear fingernail polish before, just so I could go fishing. So the cool thing about the Alps guides is the guide feet are pre-ground, so you can easily transition from the blank up onto the guide foot without having to sand it down by hand.
Nice.
So just wrap it and move it until I'm about, just a guess, about 5 wraps to the end of the thing. And then I'm going to take my puller. It's just some monofilament that's crimped together. I call it the speedy pull. I'm going to put that underneath the wrap. And I'm going to wrap over it 4 or 5 times, or until I'm up against, until I get to there on the guide. I don't know if you can see that, it's pretty small. And I'm going to put my finger on there to hold the tension, and I'm going to cut this line. Very important to have tension. If not, it will unravel. Usually when that happens, I call it a night. So feed that through the loop, and I'm going to pull this, and it's going to pull the line back underneath.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
And kind of give it a little pull. And then while holding tension on there, take your razor blade, pop that right off. And then now you don't see the line in there at all. So.
Heck yeah. And so that's just the 1/2 there. How many of those wraps do you put on a single guide?
Just a single guide, that's it. For the whole rod, I think there's 11 guides on this one.
Gotcha.
So I would have 11 plus the extra one on the double will be 12, 13 for the tip top, and then 3 down on the winding check, so that'd be 16.
All right, guys, so that's pretty much a wrap, no pun intended. Over here hanging out with Steven from Davis Custom Rods, and he kind of showed us how to do your own repair on the tip top.
Correct.
And this is something you guys can do at home. If you guys ever have an issue and you need to get back on the water, go to your local tackle shop, go to the Bass Pro down the street, Cabela's Academy, whatever, get you one of those repair kits, and you can do exactly what he showed us how to do there. And then he also showed us this very nice custom rod that he is building for the Air Capital Kayak Anglers. One more time on how they can get a hold of you if they want a rod of their own.
You can hit us up at daviscustomrods.com or on Facebook or on Instagram. If you guys have any questions regarding anything, you can just shoot us a message, and I can walk you through the steps of it, or I can even do a video having my wife do the camera, and we could do like a a live video on how to do any of the repairs that we talked about today.
Heck yeah. So check them out on Facebook too. Go ahead and give them a like. They've done plenty of videos on there that I'm sure might be helpful or entertaining. They are donating this rod to the club. They are giving back to grassroots kayak fishing. Make sure you support them. Make sure you show them some love. DavisCustomRods.com. Thanks for joining us today, and we just might have to bring you back for another one.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Make sure you like, share, subscribe, hit that bell. That way you guys know when we post our next video. We'll see you guys on the next one.